Okay, colleagues, good morning and welcome to our Administration and Finance Committee meeting on February the 10th, 2026. I'll call upon Tim Brubaker, Regional Clerk, to conduct the roll call.
Thank you. Regional Chair Redmond.
Present. Councillor
Craig. Councillor Erb.
Present.
Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Gowing.
Present.
Chair Harris.
Present.
Councillor Hunick.
Here. Sorry. Alive.
Councillor James.
Present.
Councillor Liggett.
Present.
Councillor McCabe. Councillor Nowak.
I'm here.
Councillor Rodriguez.
Present.
Councillor Salonen. Councillor Shantz.
Present.
Councillor Verbanovich.
Present.
And I believe Councillor Wolf has signed off. Thank you, Chair.
I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gathered today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Chinantan peoples. We recognizing the enduring presence of the Indigenous people on this land, and we honor their historic and ongoing contributions to our community. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, there are no presentations, there are no delegations for this committee today. I have had a request to remove item, it's the tender one. Yeah, 6.1 from the consent agenda. Do we have a, I guess, okay. All right. Do we have a mover and a seconder to approve the consent reports listed on the agenda outside of the items I just mentioned? Councillor Gowing, seconded by Councillor James. We'll vote on that. Colleagues? Okay. Well, I was reminding one of my colleagues this morning that this was an initiative by Carrie, one of the last few things that she did do, so I don't mind us taking that extra minute. When we do, we can think of her perhaps on that, good or bad, but I think it was a good initiative, so that carried, colleagues. I do believe we've got a question with regards to item 6.1. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to give you a little bit of airtime here because sometimes you don't get as much airtime as the chair of this committee. Just joking. No, my questions were around when I read about the salt. I was curious, does that mean that staff have been able to procure more? Because we know that there's been a challenge with the amount that we're able to, across the province, that we're able to secure. And I'm also curious if the participating agencies, as were noted, if that includes area municipalities. Thanks.
Go ahead, Neil.
Through the chair, thanks for the question. I don't know if I know all the details to answer your question. I know we do have an adequate supply of salt, so I can't speak to the procurement in terms of who's involved in receiving that. So apologize, I do not know the answer to that.
Okay, well, I mean, at least it's helpful to know that we have an adequate supply because there's been reports recently that, reports in the local media that there's a shortage, but anyway, if you could actually just provide, I am curious to know if the local municipalities or like the city of Waterloo particularly were involved with that procurement, because I know that's been an issue for us. Thanks.
I also have a question on the tender document. I noticed that there is an award to PCL for pre-construction services, and I'm just wondering, is that for the Amalgamated Transit Hub, or what particular project is that for?
Through the chair, yeah, that's for KCTH. That's the hub. Yep.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I think that's an important item that we pull out to inform the community that this is very much a real project that we're moving forward with. I think such a historical investment. Amalgamated Transit Hub, which will be one of the premier buildings, I think, on behalf of the region to amalgamate all of our transit. I guess there was 3 proposals. There were 3 shortlisted. Do you happen to know that there are 2 companies that were shortlisted by chance? You can get, you don't, no? Okay, you can get back to me. I know Matt Hughes is nodding with, a lot of, do you want to speak quickly to that? And how those teams are coming together to work on pre-construction?
Through you, Chair, and I'm just sharing my excitement because the coordination of the work also with Metrolinx is going to be really, really good and very important because they're doing a lot of the corridor work and we're doing a lot of the off-corridor work. So that collaboration and that construction management function is really critical for that. And the partnership is working very well. So that's a really good sign.
Great. Yeah, good news for sure. Okay. Moving on. Oh, sorry, Councilor Vrabanovic, I do see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just further to the salt tender issue, when I look at Appendix A, it actually references that was a tender that was part of 17 agencies. It was led by City of Guelph on behalf of the Grand River Cooperative Procurement Group, because as I think we know, we sometimes partner with other municipalities or other agencies, but the bid price that's there, is that specific to the region or the region's portion of the tender or the whole tender overall?
Through the chair, this would be, if as we did it on behalf, that would be for the full amount of the
It says Guelph did it on behalf of us. So this is the full amount for all 17 agencies?
No, my apologies. Yeah, this would be for our portion of that then.
So our portion of the 17
Yeah.
agencies. Okay. Yeah, and I noticed it runs from September 25 to September 26. So it was that was presumably the salt that we're using this season, and it's just coming to us now as because this is just here for information, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Hunick.
Chair Harris, please forgive me. I did not realize that my question was pertaining to the consent agenda. Don't worry, I'm not going to change my vote, but I would love to get an answer if I could. The 9,000 and some odd dollars that we pay per year for the lobbyist registry, does that change based on the number of registrants? Because it seems like a great deal for 700,000 residents, but not necessarily if only 85 have registered.
Superbaker.
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Hunick, the $9,250 for the software, that's the price we pay for them, and it is not based on the number of registrants. So regardless of how many lobbyists we have, that's the price we pay. I'm looking to Nora, but I believe it's a 3-year contract then that we have with them for that.
Okay. Thank you, and I'm going to move back. Okay, I've got a couple pages to go here. Wow, we're moving right along here. Okay, there are no reports on the regular agenda. 8 is for information. The tracking log is, again, for information. Colleagues, other business, we in fact have a motion from our colleague, Councillor Gowing, listed on the agenda. Is there a seconder for your motion Councillor James? So would you like to introduce your motion, Councillor Gowing?
Thank you, Chair. So I'm bringing this motion forward to ask facility staff to explore a facility strategic plan that is intentionally focused and practical. We already know that we have pressure on space, aging assets, and competing capital priorities. What we don't have is a single consolidated picture of what we own, how it's being used, and what it costs to operate, and where real pressures over the next 5 years to 10 years. The motion is not to approve new buildings, expand footprint, or launch a major capital program. It's about getting the facts on the table. The scope is deliberately limited to 4 things: an inventory of our current corporate facilities, how they're being used and what conditions they're in, what it costs to operate and maintain them, and where there may be opportunities to optimize or consolidate. In short, this is about understanding what we have before us, what we need for the future. A clear facility strategic plan gives council better information, supports better budgeting, and helps ensure we're using taxpayer-funded space as efficiently as possible. And the question has arose, what is the difference between a management plan and a strategic plan? A management plan focuses on how we operate and maintain what we already have, while a strategic plan focuses on deciding what should exist in the future and why.
Okay, colleagues, we have a seconder, Councillor James. So Councillor Huonick, question.
Thank you, Chair Harris. My question is for staff. I'm wondering how much time a study like this is going to cost, how much time it will take, how much it's going to cost, and if it will actually get at information we don't already have.
Through the chair. So this is this motion. It is a good in the sense of having a clear understanding of the corporate facilities we have, the condition, and what the future needs are. I would note, though, that the scope described here primarily is focusing on the supply side. We will also need to look at the demand side to see how our space needs are changing, how they may be growing, and what could be needed in the future. So as an appropriate, if this was passed, what I would request is that that be included in this as well, that we look at what we need in terms of space around more like an accommodation type strategy over the now and then going into the future. So the appropriate next step, if this was passed, would be to come forward with a report just defining the scope, what's needed, and the time commitments this would take. This would take a bit of time to assemble. We have a lot of the data, but it's more bringing that all together and doing the analysis. Costs on this, it could range from $300,000 to $500,000. That's just a rough estimate. But when you weigh that against the cost for renovating space, which is around 500 square feet, estimate 300 to 500 square feet, and the many millions of dollars you're expending there, this would likely be a good investment to ensure we're spending those funds appropriately.
Wayne, you said it would take a bit of time. Are you able to be a little bit more specific?
Through the chair, we would need to engage in a consultant to help us support with this work. So I would say it would take 6 to 12 months estimate, high level estimate.
Councillor Nowak.
No, I think a few of my questions or a few of my thoughts have been clarified. I'm just wondering how much of this information will be already embedded in our asset management plan? It should be all, or most of that should be there, should it not?
Through the chair, yeah. Some of this information details we do have, but again, it's assembling it and then looking at the supply versus the demand. The demand part is what we need to do more research on to think about what our needs are right now, what our needs are for 5 years from now in terms of space, and then bringing that all together and doing that fulsome analysis to figure out how do you optimize the spaces we have with the needs we have. And this could involve moving areas from different locations because there might be a more optimal fit for a certain service in one location versus the other. So there is a significant amount of analysis that would need to be done.
Okay.
Councillor Gowing for a follow-up on that.
Thanks, Chair. So I just noticed that this is actually an older version. There's one piece missing that staff had asked to be put in there. So I just sent it to the clerk to see if she can get that point put on there. But from what I understand, with speaking with staff, this is not a 1 year program. It's going to take multiple years. So it'll be this year and into the next year. So it'll be overlapping with the two budgets when it comes time. So.
Okay, Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, the chair. Yeah, I think this is essential. It does follow under our asset management plan, but I'd also looking into the needs into the future as well. So that would be part of our capital forecast as well. We all do this, every municipality, to see where we're at and what we need to do next. And now we need to maintain our facilities. So yes, this is essential. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Foxton, but that statement or question? Was there a question in there? Okay, figured so much. Chair Redmond.
Thank you, Chair Harris. I'm just looking at the, so number 4 is now added, a review of accommodation standards and policies to support facilities planning and demand analysis to clarify space needs. I think this is very useful, and Councillor Gowing has sort of I think bridged my concern with this would be is I think this is bigger than just figuring out what we own. This is figuring out what we own and what our projected needs are in the future. To me, this would very much feed into the budget, and as we know, it's an election year. That budget will happen after the next election, so mine was more one of timing and the purpose of doing this. So if the purpose is level setting what we have now and what our future needs are, then it would seem to me that probably a fall report back in order to inform a budget process for 2027 would be optimum. So I guess I'm just looking for clarification that that is really what we're anticipating if we support this.
So yeah, through the chair, what I would propose as the next step is that we'll bring back a report that goes over and defines the scope, the options, and the resource planning and the proposed budget for this type of work. So we'll bring that back shortly, and then from that, that'll dictate when we will present the final plan with the strategies and the plans within that.
Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. I want to go back to asset management and our asset management plan. Because I think what's outlined here is really important and we need to do it. But when I read it, I thought, well, this should be our asset management plan. What's the difference between what we're asking here and what's in our asset management plan? Yeah.
So through the chair, so again, we have the details of the asset management plan that look at our buildings, look at the condition they're in, what our planned maintenance is that is required over, I think we do it over a longer term, but most of it is within the next 10 years. What this is saying is that taking that into account and then looking at how we're using the space, so the demand side, then we can determine how best to utilize the space, so optimizing the use. And that does have an impact. The usage also has an impact on wear and tear of the buildings and that type of thing. So this is, asset management is strictly looking at building condition and when they need to be serviced and adjusted. And then this is bringing that together and overall how we use the space and how best to use that and plan forward for its use.
Councillor Stallinon.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I was going to say my question was asked. It was. I guess I'm just more confused by that answer. A part of asset management, though, would include, or at least in Wilmot, I know our plan does include if an asset no longer makes sense to maintain and keep because it's not being used in the way it was supposed to be. So to me, that should be something included already in our asset management, but what you're saying, it sounds like we don't consider that?
Well, what we don't have is that more fulsome accommodation strategy. So when you go through asset management plan, you look at a level of service and usage. This is more targeted on that, the office space and the use of that space. And that's really the difference. It doesn't get into details on, how we're using. Asset management plan doesn't consider things like how do we implement our 3-day-a-work policy? What kind of collaborative spaces should we have versus desks, office desks? What's the right combination for that? And then how does that vary based on the type of work and the department? all those things get developed in an accommodation strategy. And then there's a linkage there in terms of employee wellness too. We want to design it that it's a useful space, that they're productive in those spaces. All those pieces are part of this accommodation component of this strategic plan.
Okay, thank you. I'll be supporting this work going forward.
Back to Councillor Hunick.
Thank you. Theoretically, if a councillor wanted to add the office usage piece, as you've so laid out, would it be cheaper and more efficient to just add that to our asset management plan moving forward?
Through the chair, no, they're different plans. They're different types of analysis. So they both kind of stand on their own as separate and distinct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, colleagues, I see that's it. We'll put the motion, the revised motion up for you to vote on. Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Rabanovic, if you're there, you want to just verbally give us your vote? He's online. Okay, we'll mark him absent on that. That is carried, colleagues. 9.2, Councillor Craig, continued election of regional chair. We have a motion from Councillor Craig listed on the agenda. Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Fox, and thank you. I will ask Councillor Craig to introduce your motion.
Well, thank you, Madam. I was going to say Madam Chair. Mr. Chair, my apologies. That's not a good note to start on. The reason I brought the motion to the floor is my concern of what I consider to be the erosion of local democracy in our regions and communities across Ontario. And it's a continual pathway. And if we look back in terms of the what is taking place now across the province with regards to conservation areas and the possible consolidation, the elimination of some school boards. We look at speed cameras and bike lanes and the interference from the province and that. MZOs and how they impact local decision making. We look in the past history going back to 2018 with the provincial government stepping in during the middle of an election in Toronto and eliminating wards. And also eliminating the election of regional chairs, I think in York and Peel. These are all, I think, aspects of a decline in what I consider to be local democracy. I want to bring to your attention some aspects of the motion that I think are important. If I can find it here again. Where I've said, and whereas the regional chair presides over decisions affecting all residents of the region of Waterloo, including taxation, growth management, housing, public health, policing, and social services, and whereas a direct election of the regional chair enhances accountability, transparency, and public confidence in regional decision-making, and whereas provincially appointed municipal roles reduce the local democratic choice and weaken the principle that municipal governments are creatures of local representation, not provincial discretion. And as I go through the motion, I think one of the important things is, where does this go? And I've suggested if we state our opinion on this, I think we have to, because there's a bit of uncomfortableness in the community about what is happening. And I think they need to hear from us. But if this is approved, a copy of this goes to the Premier, a copy goes to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Minister of Finance, and I think most importantly, all members of provincial parliament representing Waterloo Region. And I think it's important that they hear this, where we stand, what this is all about, and what local democracy means. We tend to be focusing all our attention south of the border, and we're not watching really what's happening here. And so this is just a motion. I recognize, as one of my colleagues pointed out, you send these things out, nothing ever happens. I recognize that, okay? But I think it does have an impact locally, okay, with our MPPs and with the public that we're representing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. We do have a question, Councillor Hunick.
It's a comment, sorry, Chair. I struggle with this motion because I don't think that trying to force the province hand is the best way to collaborate with them. But in general, I support democracy over appointment. So I will be supporting the motion because of that.
Okay, Councillor Liggett.
At the request of the previous chair, I moved my mic over to this side, so I struggled to where the button was there for a second. You're welcome. I really struggle with this motion because there's no indication of what's coming forward, what they're going to do. I think this motion puts us in a really bad position. I think that the current chair of the region, Chair in Redmond, is one of the best leaders I have ever seen in my life. And I support her 100% in her current role. Anything that comes forward from the province, we don't know when that's going to happen, whether it's during the next term or prior to this term. I think this is so premature. And I'm not going to support this motion, but it's got nothing to do with our current leader. It's got nothing to do with democracy. The province is going to do what they're going to do. No matter what we do here, it's like beating our heads against a brick wall when it comes to this province. I think the voices that we can have behind the scenes in support of Chair Redmond, should this go forward as you think it might, is to have her stay in that role will be very, very important over the next months or couple of years. But I've got to say, I admire you so much, Karen. I really do.
Well, thank you for that. Councillor Foxton.
I am going to, echo Councillor Jan Leggett. And you know, Karen, that I do admire you. And I stand by you in a lot of situations. Not always, but a lot of situations. But yeah, and a lot of regional chairs are not elected publicly. Most of them are appointed. So everybody runs for regional council, and then once a council forms, they're appointed. And that's not uncommon either. But I agree with Mayor Liggett that I will not be supporting this just because I don't think we need to. I think we need to show our support for Chair Redmond everywhere we go and everything we do, though. Thank you.
Councillor Craig.
Well, this is kind of interesting. I didn't expect that. But first of all, I did not communicate with Chair Redmond whatsoever on this motion, just so people are aware of that. I think that's important. But I mean, this is really stating a position on local democracy and what you believe. I recognize the province can steamroll over anything. I'm well aware of that from the past. I'm well aware of the implications of offending the provincial government, and this doesn't offend anybody. It states a position on what you believe in terms of local representation, local democracy. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I don't see any other further questions, so I'll chime in on this. And I can attest, Councillor Craig, I know that you brought that forward on your own accord, and I know you believe in local democracy strongly, and you've outlined the reasons why here through this motion. I will too also be supporting it. I will say that, having some experience in the provincial realm, I think we've long benefited from the elections of mayors and even regional chairs. I can tell you that the change more recently for Niagara, Peel, and others ultimately, required where there was an appointment, those individuals were foremost elected by the people at large. So they had to get to the table first at some point to then be elected or appointed I guess, elected by their colleagues to that position. And I believe that was the case in Niagara. And so, yeah, I'll just simply support this because there's no better way than to elect somebody from the local democracy, and I hope that continues. Because we all know we have changes of governments, and although there may be folks out there that support the party of the day, we know that can change overnight. And those same individuals that may feel the government of the day may appoint someone to their pleasure can turn around and the next day not like that appointee. And so we may not always like what voters bring us, but ultimately, we need to respect their decision, and they should have one. So I don't know if I've opened a bit of a Pandora box here with some folks that wanted to chime in, but like democracy, I will go to them too and hear what they have to say. Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. I thought there were a couple speakers ahead of me, so I was still putting my thoughts together. I think what resonates with me in this is maintaining local democracy, and that's very important to me. So I'm still not sure whether I'm going to vote in favor or opposed. If I vote opposed, it is not because I disagree with the intent of the motion. I agree with the intent of the motion. I'm just not sure this is the best path forward in this climate right now. So yes, support for our chair, support for local democracy and input into that. But I'm still pondering.
Okay, Councillor Salonen.
Thanks, Chair. Wasn't certain if you saw my name there or not. I said I wasn't certain if you saw my name there or not.
Computer says here, and I think after I went to Councillor Shantz, I did see that you were likely before her, but
all good.
I'm going to blame the computer on this one.
It's all good. Thank you, Councillor Craig, for bringing this forward. I will be honest, though, you're making me challenge my thinking on what I think is an optimal process and format of representation for governance, which is a lot of deep thinking. And I don't disagree with your premise of if things are to stay the way that they are, that having a chair elected at large has a lot of benefits. However, there are other municipalities and jurisdictions, much as to what Chair Harris just noted, that do appointment after election and appointment amongst colleagues, which I've also seen works effectively. So I guess I'm struggling with the motion, not in that I want the public's voice to be silenced, because that's not at all my intent, but I'm struggling with, I don't actually know if elected at large versus appointed after election. I don't actually know which one is a better process in terms of governance, and that's where I'm struggling with supporting, but then at the same time, if it's just going to be status quo, I'm fine with status quo. So I'm struggling quite philosophically on this, so thanks, Councillor Craig, for making me ponder these things, and I'm still undecided as to where I stand on the motion.
All right, well, we got a few minutes to go before we have to make that big decision, so Councillor Erb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to support this motion with some reluctance, and not because of individuals, but because of the unpredictable mood of the provincial government and how they could respond to something like this, and that concerns me. The bigger issue for me is governance. The province has been dangling and teasing municipalities with governance and reform for the last 3 or 4 years, which is just leaving municipalities, I think, in a very untenable position. We're in a two-tier system like ours. There's tensions developed between the regional municipality and their partner municipalities not knowing clarity on what new bill is going to be passed, taking rights away from one municipality to the other municipality. So I think the bigger issue in something like this is governance, and I just wish the province would give a direction to municipalities that this is the way it's going to be, and we don't have to deal with it in piecemeal like we're doing on something like this.
Councillor James.
Thank you, through you, Chair. And yes, Councillor Craig, you got us all critically thinking over here. So I understand that, you know, the province has not said anything, come out right and said anything, but we know with what we know to be true is that they are making decisions on behalf of a lot of municipalities. I see this motion in the bigger democratic sense. And when democracy, when we see it being threatened, when we see it being challenged and people are, you know, taken out of any option, I think we need to pay attention on a bigger scale. So, Councillor Craig, you know, I will support your motion because I think democracy is under attack right now. And if we don't stand up for it, even if there isn't something on the table, we know that it can be taken away. So it's not, I think, regardless if there's an appointed chair or, you know, continue to have an elected chair, the bigger theme here is democracy, and it's under attack. And you recognize that. You continue to speak to that. And I think there are people watching right now who are terrified because they see what is happening in other places around this world. And if we don't stand up for something, then we just allow things to happen and then react after. So, you know, like I said, I will support this because I see the bigger picture here. This isn't about this table right now to me. This is about something bigger. So I will support this motion, Councillor Craig.
Okay, we'll go back to Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through the chair. Yeah, I'm not saying that there won't be a regional chair. I'm saying that a lot of municipalities vote them within, as we've all stated, and as even Chair Harris has stated, so that you get, everybody runs for their region, whatever they're, and then within the region, they appoint or they vote on who's going to be chair for usually a 2-year term. If you look at Wellington County, it's only 2 years. I believe Oxford County is only 2 years because Zorro, the mayor of Zorro just got appointed again, and Chris White just got appointed again in Wellington County. So it's although a 4-year term, every 2 years you turn over who the chair is. And the chair is a neutral body who monitors and decides, and also speaks at AMO and Roma for that 2-year period. So I don't think that's a slap in the face for democracy. I think that's just the way it's done in other areas.
Councillor Gowing.
Thanks, through you, Chair. I kind of agree with Councillor James. We need to be more proactive than reactive. Waiting for something to happen isn't the best option. So I was on the fence with this when it first came out. I'll admit that, but I think Councillor James kind of swayed me to the one side of the fence, and we have to be proactive, and I think that's what this is doing.
Okay, and maybe the final word, Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. Just a question to Councillor Craig, because some of us are talking about internal appointments after the election, but the motion actually says provincially appointed municipal roles. So if I could ask Councillor Craig to just clarify what he's
Well, I think it could be either one. I've been on council here years ago when we appointed the regional chair within the council, but at least it was in the regional community, and the elected officials that were elected in this region picked the chair. And I think that was really important. It worked well. Mr. Sealing had a long tenure, was well respected, and it worked well. Now we've gone to election at large, and I think that works in its own way, the same way. So either one is fine. The point is, keep it in the region. Okay, I don't think people want somebody who's accountable strictly to the province because they've been appointed by the province. That's my major concern. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, colleagues, we'll ask you to, now, was there, yeah, we'll go, pardon me?
I'm not sure it sorry, through you, Chair. I'm not sure it needs an amendment because one of the whereases talks about provincially appointed municipal roles reduce the local democratic choice and weaken the principle that municipal governments are creatures of local representation and not provincial discretion. So I think it's embedded in there, but if my colleagues think that's not clear, then I'll defer. The first whereas. Okay. Councillor Solonen is whispering in my ear here. Do you want to carry on with that?
Okay, so sorry, folks, what are we doing here? What did you want to propose an amendment?
I don't. Perhaps Councillor Solonen has some wording.
If I may, Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Councillor Craig, what you just said, I can get behind that, and I'm far more supportive. But with that, I would look for an amendment just to change the language on your first, therefore be it resolved, because right now it has the Council of the Region of Waterloo formally requests the Province of Ontario to affirm and support the continued election of a regional chair by the voters of the Region of Waterloo. I would perhaps just ask, and I don't like changing on the fly, but I guess for that breadth that we were talking about, that it remains within the community, but gives the opportunity, like you said, where it could be either elected at large or by the council.
I think I've said that, yes, within what you're saying. Okay.
Right. Okay. So I guess then for the motion to follow, I think clerks have just done it. Yes, and they just changed the language or elected. Sorry, I don't know what's changing. I'm just waiting for the clerks are in the middle of typing it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So I think procedurally it needs to be an amendment.
Yep, no, we're gonna read the amendment. We'll ask for unanimous consent and then go from there. So, do we have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Shantz. So, do you want to read the amendment, Councillor Salonen?
Sure. So the amendment just changes the language in the first, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Region of Waterloo formally request the Province of Ontario to affirm and support the continued election of regional chair by voters of the Region of Waterloo or appointed by Region of Waterloo Council. The rest of the motion remains.
Do we have unanimous consent on this? Any opposers? I guess would be. Okay, so that is carried. Colleagues will go now to eScribe and we'll vote on the motion as amended unanimously. While we're waiting for those results, and maybe I'll ask CFO Steffler. He had some follow up on the SALT question while we're voting. If you don't mind, CFO Steffler, to make that comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, just verified all the local municipalities participate in that SALT tender, so everybody's involved.
Okay, that motion carried. Colleagues, our next meeting will be on March the 10th. We now have a recommended motion to go into closed session for the purpose of receiving advice related to labor and employee relations, specifically job descriptions and receiving information regarding employee negotiations related to union matters. Moved by Councillor Gowling, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez. I'll encourage you all to go to eScribe to vote, please. I believe that will carry. Colleagues will now sort of vote to adjourn the meeting, moved by Councillor Gowling as well, seconded by Councillor Foxton. I'll ask you to head back over to eScribe to adjourn the meeting. or unanimous consent? Do I have I see we have unanimous consent for that. Colleagues, the meeting is adjourned.